Hi everyone. As you're joining, please will you use the chat function to let us know who you are and where you're from. I can see our participants are joining quite fast. Welcome everyone. We'll start with our session now. Please put in the chat function who you are and where you're from. Hi Karen from Pretoria. Hi Lishan from the East Rand. We have Betty from the University of Johannesburg, Emma from London, Lucia from Johannesburg, Anna Marie from the East Rand. Wow, you guys are chatting quickly now. Welcome, everyone. I see we have some postdoctoral from Wits. We have Devil from Newcastle. Apologies for my pronunciation. And if I omit from greeting anyone. We have Shanae from Joburg. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining our session today. We will use the chat function to just say who you are and where you're from. If you've got any questions, please use the Q&A function. I want to say hello to everyone here. I'm Gillian Flitter, the Associate Director of Golden Key in Southern Africa, and I want to welcome everyone to the newly launched Golden Key Academy, a place of online learning developed by Golden Key specifically for our members. It's been created in response to feedback from our members telling us that they want more career support and expert guidance. We listened and created a website filled with videos, articles, and ebooks. If you haven't had a chance to go and look at that, please check it out. One of the best things we're offering as part of the Golden Key Academy is the packed schedule of live webinars, very much like this one. We're doing our best to select speakers and topics that are really relevant to you. So please feel free to give us feedback at any time if you want to learn something specific by sending us an email to thoughtleaders@goldenkey.org. Today, we'll be focusing on the psychology of money plays an intricate role in why we make financial decisions. Understanding the irrefutable laws or principles of money in most cases is not enough to get a person to a place where they are living financially free in a sustainable fashion. Rudi will give you a few tools that will help you take control of your finances before your finances take control of you. I now introduce to you our speaker for today, Rudi Bouwer. He is a financial planning specialist and the director at the Wealth Room. He worked at the Discovery Institute of Training in Financial Planning and Services, then moved to PSG Wealth in Wealth Management, Financial Planning and Services. He became a financial advisor for PPS for a few years. Thereafter, he moved to be a financial planner for Discovery before he became the director and financial planning specialist for the Wealth Room. Rudi is a professionally qualified and experienced financial advisor and entrepreneur who focuses on a lifestyle of planning. He has extensively studied the relationship between money, psychology, and how that affects one's financial planning. He has more than 10 years' experience in the financial planning industry and is passionate about financial education and the difference it could make to one's lifestyle. Now, I welcome Rudi as our speaker for today. Welcome, Rudi.
Hi guys, it's such an honor to be able to address you guys today, and it's such a phenomenal group of people. I see that there are some people from Cape Town, so you'll know that it's a beautiful day in Cape Town. So we'll probably after this go to the beach, because that's what you do in Cape Town. But yeah, fantastic. And so how we're going to do today, guys, is I'll just start by just giving you some of the principles that I've learned over the years, and really this is something that applies to everybody, and by no means a measure is this me telling you how to run your life or run your finances. This is just me being in front of people for the last 10 years, talking to them about finances, and while studying integrated behavioral psychology regarding finances, I've just come to understand that there's more to finances than we are made to believe. You know, the insurance industry is one that is, you know, one that is very important because of you know, the risk mitigation, and then obviously there's investments and all of that kind of stuff. But I just think that there's a miscorrelation between the responsibility each person takes for self-education regarding insurance and investments and finances as a whole. You know, the psychology of money starts the very first time you realize that money has any sort of value. So one of the first questions I ask my clients is, what is your first money memory? You know, when is the first time in your life that you actually realize that money has a value in your life, and that you actually have the ability to manage this thing that is either in the form of a note or a coin, and for exchange you can get goods or services. And the way you relate to that will permeate into the way that you actually make your financial decisions today. So, you know, if you realize what the value of money is at the age of 5, there's a lot of correlation between that 5-year-old self and the person you are today, and how you actually run your finances. The other one would be that there's a strong correlation between how your parents manage their finances, or people that, you know, were in a role that, you know, gave you any sort of advice or over your life. So all of those financial decisions come from that. And I'd just like to delve deeper today into a lot more of a sustainable fashion on how we approach our finances, because sometimes it can be so, you know, it can be this thing that we all, you know, pursue. Everyone wants to be wealthy. Everyone wants to live the high life. Everyone wants to have a lot of money, but nobody really understands that money is just, you know, liquid. It's much like this cup of coffee. If I put the cup of coffee, if I pour the coffee out of the coffee maker into my hands, it has no good, or has no use there. But if I put it into this cup, you know, I can have a beautiful cup of coffee and I can enjoy it. And then only does the coffee have its, you know, full potential once it's put in the right vehicles. But if I didn't know that, I would have put the coffee maybe in a glass, and I would have burnt my hands. And it wouldn't have been the same experience. So that's just, you know, an analogy that I quickly came up with. But in the end of the day, it's you know, so relevant, because a lot of people that I sit down with, I realize are not educated to the extent that they understand what they want from their finances, first and foremost. And secondly, they are just subject to being sold products. And these products are not products that you buy and then, you know, 2 years later, it's like a cell phone contract that, you know, can be, you know, just reviewed or stops. These are long-term products that everyone needs to be a part of. And in the end of the day, that's, if you don't take the responsibility for yourself to understand where this leads you and how these products have an implication on your life, then, you know, at the end of the day, that's, you're just going to be subject to the insurance industry. So I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, but I'm just saying that there is a way for you to have a little bit more control over this. I'm going to start the presentation this morning with you guys, and so fantastic. So I would like for you to be able to take control of your financial future. And how we're going to do that, I want you to understand that there are 3 factors in life that is going to influence your financial decision making. It's first and foremost, it's going to be who you are, it will be where you're from, and then it's going to be what you know. And that's kind of what I alluded to now. what you know is also very important. And it's probably one of the most important ones, because at this point in time, the educational system does not allow for us to actually understand the intricacies of finances and to understand the real depth of how money really works. Nobody teaches anybody how, what the implications of, taking out a second bond, or, doing offshore investments. These kind of things are not taught in school. Nobody really understands short-term insurance. That's car and household insurance, all that kind of stuff. It's not common knowledge. Most of us have to go through life and kind of figure it out over a long period of time. Some people figure it out much quicker than others. Some people actually just never figure it out because it's quite complex. So who you are is going to be a question that you're going to have to ask yourself. Are you naturally a saver or a spender? Did your parents continuously tell you to, put the money in the piggy bank, save the money as it comes in? Or, were you the one that as soon as that tooth fairy came, that, you'd go and buy the packet of sweets? Because if that's who you were when you were a little girl or a little boy, quite more often than not, you'd still have that in you. That would be a natural inclination to how you, how you manage your finances from a day-to-day point of view. That would be your go-to. So if you are married, there would be generally one of each of these people in a relationship. And it's not a good thing or a bad thing to be a saver or a spender, because you can't just go through life saving. It's not going to be conducive to a healthy relationship with money, because just saving would never put you in a position where you actually get to a point where you reward yourself for achieving certain things. And if you're a spender, obviously, naturally, that's going to lead to overspending and not having finances, or anything to live on once you get into retirement. So where you're from will also have a big implication on this. It will be that I usually tell people that show me your friends and I'll show you your future. If you have people in your life that, don't really care about where their financial future is going and how they manage their finances and just squander finances and take no initiative to educate themselves on the ways of money, then you're probably going to find that you will be in that same boat, just talking about what you want to achieve in life and talking about what money can do for you. But you will always be subject to what happens as a result of the negligence of not understanding finances. Sorry, I know that I'm rambling on about this, but I'm getting to a point, and I want you guys to just follow me on this. So just to another very big thing, and this is very relevant in South Africa, that certain cultures have stringent beliefs regarding finances. There's certain ways that you have to manage your finances, and that's not always the right way to do things. It's you as an individual are subject to what those cultures teach you regarding finances. But these have been things that have been passed down over centuries, and not the right information in every sense of the word. So then the last one would be, it's what you know. So like I said to you, financial literacy is not taught in schools. Economics and accounting is not financial literacy. It's really our own responsibility to start learning the basic principles of good financial stewardship. What I would suggest for you guys is to read a book called The Richest Man in Babylon. It's such an easy read. It's such an easy book to just pick up and start understanding what these principles mean and how they can help you and how you can apply them to your life daily. It's just it's a small book. It's a parable. It's just about a young person that's going through life and learns all about becoming wealthy in the richest land, which was Babylon. So I would suggest that for you guys to start reading, but just so that I can bring you guys the principles, and I'd love to engage with some of you, over the next year or so, if you'd be open to that. If you have any questions, you are welcome to send me an email. My email address is Rudi, that's RUDI, at thewealthroom.co.za. So if you have any questions regarding the principles that I'm going to be sharing with you now, then you're more than welcome to send that on to me, and I'll be happy to answer them for you. So the 10 principles to financial freedom. First and foremost, you need to set life goals. I know that you've heard this a million times, that goals are important, but at the end of the day, it is exactly what you need to give you a starting point so that you can gauge your life with and see exactly what it is that you want to achieve, so that you're not spending too much time, an inordinate amount of time in your life, reaching for things that were not for you in the first place. So I would say that it is very important that you need to understand what it is that you want from this life. What is this life going to look like? These thoughts will cultivate a very clear picture over time if you really spend time understanding and knowing where you are right now and where you are going. Because a lot of us live in the future. We live in the future present, meaning that we live in a state of mind that we can only be happy or happy with our finances once we achieve certain things. So it's good for you to understand where you are right now and where you are going. And I would say that you need to write them down, preferably on a piece of paper. It's so important for you to write these things down on a piece of paper so that you can just tangibly see exactly and feel what it is that you're writing. There's something really powerful about this. Then I would say tell a mentor, tell someone that actually really cares about you, someone that has the ability to listen to you from a point of view that they want to answer with the ability of knowing what's going on in your life. So a mentor would be someone that you can trust, someone that you really look up to, but it's actually more than that. You need to be a little bit more responsible in finding a mentor. It needs to be somebody that actually genuinely cares about you. And that can happen over a period of time. You can ask the person that you don't know so well and that you really look up to, and that you know that they don't really care for you that much because of the fact that you don't spend so much time, and you can build that relationship. But before you really understand your life goals, you need to be able to have a soundboard, so that you have a place in your life where you can, whatever's going on in your mind, you can put that down on a piece of paper. But then more than that, it needs to be a practical implication and application, so that you have a time frame where you can reflect back to what it is that you want to achieve in life. Then you need to break down your goals. It's how, what, when, and why. You need to understand that you can't just say the big goal, I want to land on the moon. You need to understand that there are certain processes that are going to follow. There are certain things that when you say yes to wanting to do this goal, you're saying no to other things in your life. So when there's certain things that you start pursuing, that means that there's going to be less time for you to spend time with your loved ones. There's going to be less time to maybe train. There's going to be less time to do whatever you're doing right now. So you need to understand that when you say yes to saying something, that you're also saying no to something else, and you need to know what you're saying no to. Very important, plan your first step. That's where most people fail, is they put out the big goal because everyone talks about goals. They write down the big goal and then they don't plan the first step. The first step will put you start the momentum, and it'll get you into a place where you actually start living out what it is that you've set yourself up to. And then keep going. It's in the book Think and Grow Rich. Napoleon Hill interviews, over a period of 20 years, the most successful people in the world. He was commissioned by a very successful guy called Dale Carnegie to do this. And over that period of time, there was one common thread, is that these people never gave up. So wherever it is that you find yourself right now, your story is not finished. If you're in a place where you feel like you're not at the pinnacle of your financial freedom or at the pinnacle of your career, it just means that you haven't spent the time yet. Where you are right now is exactly where you need to be, and it's going to always test you. So I just want to encourage you to keep going, to keep pursuing your dreams, to keep pursuing your passions, because that's inevitably going to bear the fruits of your life. And then you must learn to celebrate. It's the most important thing in your success in life, is to learn to celebrate small victories. However that is for you. I have a little bank account that I have, and when I have small victories, I deposit some money out of my savings into that, and when that reaches a certain amount, I go buy myself that thing that I've been looking for, because that puts me in a position where I know that when I buy expensive things or things that are that I really want, I know that I've worked for it. So it has a double barrel. In the end of the day, it puts me in a position where I'm always striving to achieve things, but I'm also in a place that I'm not just buying or purchasing the things that I think that I deserve, just because. I give myself clearly defined goals, and when I achieve them, I celebrate by giving myself a reward. The second principle is giving is essential. You need to be set free from the claws of mammon. No man can truly live while only living to acquire riches. It's probably one of those things that we tend to miss most in life. We want to gather. We want to be the masters of our own life, and we tend to miss the true calling that is on our lives. So we need to learn to be a little bit more generous. It's almost like when you have an open hand, you can receive freely so that can flow through you. That's how finances work. It's I don't know. It's probably a spiritual law to some degree, but it just is that way. A closed hand cannot receive. If your hand is open, that is when you can receive, but it needs to be that it comes into your hand and into someone else's hand. But that's something that you need to do very responsibly. If this is not something that you have done in your life or been capable of doing because you have not really been in the financial position, that doesn't mean that that you're a bad person, or that you that this is a principle that's not for you. Maybe start small. Start by planning something to give for the next few days. Maybe it's just a £5 coin, or maybe it's just some of your time. But giving truly is essential to life. And the reason why I say that is because if you grip your identity in what money can do for you, or your finances can do for you, who will you truly be if you lose all of that? If you cannot find your purpose in giving to other people first, then you're always going to be in a place where your finances are in control of you and you're not in control of your finances. Principle 3, you need to live on margin. We need to learn that there's always room for error. I think most people go through life just kind of scraping month to month, and that's what I noticed, and that's probably one of the biggest problems in South Africa, is most people have more month than they have salary, or more days left than they have salary. And that's the problem, is that people overspend because they just build their lifestyles regarding the income that they get. So if somebody earns 5,000 rand a month, they will typically spend 5,500 rand a month, and that's the problem. So you need to learn to live on margin, that you can actually get to a place where you can make sound financial decisions, and that you're not caught out when certain rainy day things happen. So for this, I would suggest that you do something like start an emergency fund. Most people don't do that, and it's actually quite easy to do it. You can set up just a unit trust or something like that, and you can put in money there as you wish. It's related to markets. You get really good returns on it. You get way better returns than you get from the bank, and it's set up within a day. So and the fees are really low. So if any of you want to talk about that, I'll be very happy to help you out. So yeah. Then debt is not in your best interest. It's definitely a modern form of slavery. If you are currently in debt, there will be good reasons for it, I'm sure. But I would urge you to get a plan to get out of debt. Before you start saving in any sort of way, I would say get yourself into a position to understand what your debt status really is. Get a credit report and see if you are in good financial standing. If you are not, it's not the end of the world. You can get out of debts pretty easily if you have a plan. So the way that I see it is you can have the snowball approach or the targeted approach. The snowball approach is where you take the highest interest-bearing debt that you have, and you target that one, and then you go from down. So basically you'll have a spreadsheet where you'll have the list of them. So, and you'll pay the minimum to each one of those. Then you will have to see from your budget where you can allocate 500 or 1,000 rand, and then whatever is available in your budget, and then you can start allocating all of that to the additional one that is the highest interest bearing one. As you then eliminate that one, you take the full minimum payment plus the extra and you put that into the next one, and so you go down and snowball that. That's the approach that I took about 3 years ago when I was in quite serious debt. It took me 8 months and I was out of about 250,000 rands worth of debt. So it's really not that difficult, but it comes with a lot of sacrifice, because what I didn't say in that sentence is for about 2 years, I didn't really attend any baby showers and unnecessary birthday parties and all of these kind of things that we get invited to that make us spend more money than we should. My goal was to get out of debt, and that's what I did, and it serves me very well today. Because I have, I became used to not just buying whatever I want. I became used to planning. I became used to the fact that I am not a slave to the system, but that I am in control of my finances, and that I actually have that that surplus every month. And I didn't have to increase my lifestyle to conjure up some sort of happiness in my life. I was happy with just being who I am and having the financial status that I have right now. And that put me in position to start new ventures and open up a company for my wife and all these kind of things. So as soon as you are not a slave anymore and you are free, that really just frees your mind to start thinking and doing things that you never were able to do before. So if you are in debt, I'd really want to just encourage you to get a handle on that and get that out of your life as soon as possible. So this is an interesting one. You are not saving unless you can measure the return. So in the modern corporate and banking society, we are taught that the more we spend, the more we can get rewarded. All these reward systems have really skewed the way that we view how we spend money. Now, I'm not saying that being on a reward system or anything is wrong. I'm just saying you need to understand that you are teaching yourself and teaching your mind that the more you spend, the more you will earn. Okay, so there's something dangerous about this, because over a period of a lifetime, you are creating a habit that you are not measuring the return of your savings. So a saving is only once you put something away, and you can then see that money grow as a result of interest earned. Saving is not when you go to the mall and you have 1,000 rand to buy a pair of shoes, ladies, and there's a 30% sale, and you end up buying 2 pairs of shoes because now you spend and you start to spend 1,400 rand, but it's a saving because you've got 2 pairs. No, you've actually spent 400 rand more than you've budgeted for. You've probably done that on a credit card. So you need to learn how to measure that return. So what I do is my wife laughs at me so much, but it's when I go to the mall or go to some sort of online shopping or whatever, and there is a discount, 30% saving. If I was going to spend 1,000 rand and the 30% saving is there, I immediately transfer that 300 rand into my little savings pocket or whatever it is. And that way, you are measuring your own return. It's just a fun little tool that helps you to really measure the return. Sometimes we're in a grocery store and I transfer like 15 rand into that account. And you would be surprised to see how much additional money you are able to come up with by the end of the month if you are just that disciplined. It's these small little things that make a massive difference. And that money then becomes our holiday money. So I don't have to have an additional plan for holiday savings. I don't have to now make more money. It just comes out of being diligent in those small little things. And it's really easy. I mean, the banking apps these days make it very simple to do that. The secret of gratitude. Where you are right now is exactly where you need to be. I think the instant gratification life that we are all living and keeping up with the Joneses has put us in a position where we have taught our minds that we are never truly as happy as someone else. Everyone else is living their best life except me. The problem with that is that if you cannot create these positive thinking patterns within your own mind, and you constantly fill them with these negative illusions that your future is the only place where you are going to be happy, it removes your ability to be present. It removes your ability to actually be part of what you are doing right now. Because you have taught your mind that once I achieve that, or once I buy the house, or once I get that promotion, that's when I will be truly happy. If you can just find it within yourself to be grateful with what's in your hand right now, that's where your true financial freedom will come. Because it's not about how much is in that hand. It's about the fact of being grateful that there is something in your hand, and that has the power to actually start something new. It doesn't have to be that you can start that new business once you have 1 million rand. No, start the business because you are there now and you think that it's a good idea now. That gratitude is probably one of the most powerful things that you will be able to tap into your life. If you don't take away anything from this seminar today or this webinar today, please take this. And I would want to encourage you to take a second every morning and every day to just look at yourself in the mirror and just be thankful for what you have. And don't spend too much time dwelling on what it is that you think you don't have. There's probably a good reason why you don't. But a wealthy person, in the end of the day, is much more powerful than a rich one. And a wealthy person is a person that has a wealth of knowledge, has a wealth of love, has a wealth of education, has a wealth of confidence, has a wealth of health. And these things are, in the end of the day, that set you apart. These are the things that, in the end of the day, put you in a position that you truly have the ability to showcase your best life to your mind, because you are present in those moments. And these things truly create a sense of satisfaction with your current circumstances. And yeah, to me, this has been the most significant principle in my life, and I give gratitude to everything. I take moments of silence to just be grateful for a cup of coffee, or grateful for the shirt I'm wearing, or grateful for being able to speak to such a great group of people. Anything that you can just showcase that gratitude, that really permeates into a good, healthy life. Keep record of your finances. It is more important to earn than to budget, because if you don't earn, you have nothing to budget. But if you don't know how much to budget, it won't matter how much you earn. So guys, I will be sending all of you a budgeting tool. I don't know if you do budget or if you don't, but if you don't, I would strongly urge you to start recording your finances. It really becomes like a game. It becomes like just something that you become excited about, knowing what's coming in and what's going out. Maybe I'm the only one that gets excited about these things because I'm, in the financial industry, and that's what makes me tick. But I just think that the more you know what's going on in your finances, that puts you in a position to make better decisions. And it puts you in a position to know where you're overspending. It puts you in a position to know when to make decisions. It takes away that spend that where you walk into a shop and you just buy whatever it is that you want. When you budget, you'll start planning for these things. And that actually, in the long run, puts you in a position where you have way more control over the things that you purchase. And when you purchase these items, you will be, you will be in a position where you are much more satisfied with these purchases, because when you buy something just randomly, I think most of the time it puts you in a position where you go, well, I didn't really need that. And it puts you back financially most of the time. So I would say, get yourself into the habit of budgeting. Get yourself into the habit of understanding how much money is coming in, where it is coming from, but more importantly, where it is going. Then passive income. Passive income is probably the most powerful tools to becoming rich. If you are able to earn income while you are not working, that's the dream. And you think this would be difficult to achieve, but there are so many different ways to do this, guys. And I think when you start planning your next venture, or start planning, a lot of you would be students, when you start planning your career, really look at opportunities within the career space that provide you the opportunity to build passive incomes, where it's not just about earning a salary. A salary is not a passive income. Passive means that you don't have to spend too much of your energy and time to earn an income. So if that, to give you an example, I have passive income through through my business. There's certain, we have something called assets under management. So when people invest, there's certain fees that come my way. I give the advice once, and then as time goes by, that creates an income monthly for me. And we've started a business for my wife, just some online stuff. she doesn't have to spend too much of her time. She has her day-to-day job. She doesn't have to spend too much of her time having to, communicate or deal with issues. That money just generates itself, and that is the goal. That's what you guys should be looking for, and that's the questions you should be asking career advisors, or when you're going for interviews to an employer. What is the opportunity for me to earn a passive income, to grow a passive book, so that you're not so, constrained to just a salary. And if it is that you are just going to be earning a salary, I would want to encourage you to look at various ways of making passive incomes for yourself. There are really many ways. I would urge you to go into YouTube and look at some side hustle opportunities. What can you do to earn some more money? Most of you guys are very skilled, and you have gifts and talents. You can really offer up those gifts and talents for some income, and it doesn't have to, cost you too much of your precious time, because if it's something that you enjoy doing and it's something that you're really good at doing, then it can create an income, and it's not something that's going to make you tired. It's actually going to energize you. So yeah, that's a very powerful thought. Then seek wise counsel. Mentoring has been the single most important thing for my life so far up until here. I've been very fortunate and lucky with tremendous mentors, but I had to seek them. They didn't just fall in my lap. I needed to understand what first, after I have done everything that I've just spoken to you about in the previous slides. Once I've set my goals and understood what I want to do with my life, I needed to understand or find a person that has already mastered that skill, mastered what it is that I still want to achieve in my life. And I wouldn't be able to find the right mentor if I wasn't certain about what it is that I wanted to achieve for my life. So you have mentors all around you. You have people that are willing to help you. And so I just want to encourage you, when you find a mentor, it should probably not be a brother or a sister or a father or a mother or aunt or uncle. Find somebody. They can be your mentors, definitely, but I'm talking more about in your professional career self. That's where you need mentoring. You need to find somebody that's at the A game in doing exactly what it is that you want to achieve and do. So if there's somebody in your vicinity, or if you want to become a professional in your avenue, you need to find that person that is already doing that and tap into their headspace, because that's going to save you a lot of time. It's going to save you a lot of disappointment, and it's going to save you a lot of money. Then continuous professional developments. He who stops studying is forever hopelessly doomed to mediocrity, said by Napoleon Hill from the book Think and Grow Rich. You need to understand that you have a responsibility to continuously study. I know that some of you are students, and or most of you are students, and you think that after this year or next that you would stop studying. I have news for you. You would never stop studying. If you want to be wealthy and successful, knowledge is going to be the thing that you want to desire the most in your life, because that will put you in a place of understanding, what the new trends are going to be, how to develop yourself and how to upskill yourself. So you can never in your life get away from studying. You'll become a professional studier, or professional students for that matter. So some of us will become Van Wilders and some of us will become Einsteins, but studying will be a part of it for the rest of your life. And then I want to give you some advice from Warren Buffett. He says, on earning, never depend on a single income. Make investments to create a second source. That's very easy to do. I'm more than happy to answer some questions on how to invest. There's multiple platforms offshore, there's unit trust, there's money markets, there's tax-free savings, there's all sorts of different vehicles that you guys can use to do that. And I would encourage you to do that as soon as possible. On spending, if you buy things you don't need, then soon you will need to sell it for things you do need. On savings, do not save what is left after spending, but rather spend what is left after saving. And then on taking risks, never test the depth of the river with both feet. And on investments, do not put all your eggs in one basket. Honesty is a very expensive gift. Do not expect it from cheap people. So guys, I want to leave you with that today, and I want to open up the Q&As for you guys, and just, if there's any questions that you would like to ask me, you're welcome to do so now in the Q&As. I'll be more than happy to answer some of your questions. And if you don't want to ask questions right now, I'll be happy to answer some of your questions if you want to email me afterwards. There is going to be an opportunity for you as well afterwards. You can, like I said, you can send me an email. It's rudy@thewealthroom.co.za. But I know that Gillian and her team will also be sending you the budgeting tool that I promised, and then there will also be I'll give you access to a free investment course that we have built with Alan Gray for you guys. It's really, really good content. It's easy to understand, and I think that this is going to be something that will serve you guys great. So I'm just going to ask. I'm just going to go through some of your questions here. So anonymous, someone asked you, how do you start a unit trust? Guys, this is very, very simple. I don't want to push any particular investment houses, but for unit trusts, I generally use Alan Gray. The reason for that is obviously their funds do really well, but their platform is really easy to use. So, going onto Alan Gray will, to start up a unit trust will probably take you about 15 minutes maximum if you have all the correct documents in place. I would say that if you start a unit trust for an emergency fund, that you do not go into any funds that have any exposure to the market. The reason for that is that because you are in an investment vehicle that is particularly designed to withdraw for emergencies, you do not want to get into an emergency situation and then have to withdraw money, but the markets are low on that day. And the money markets are actually doing quite well at the moment. So yeah, if you are going to be asking somebody to set up something like that for you, please do not go into any balanced funds or stable funds. That will be for longer term savings. If you're going to be saving for your emergency funds, money market only. So then,
Rudi, would you like me to assist you by reading out the question for you?
Yes, that would be great. Thank you.
Bianca asks, do you have any advice for people who want to invest in shares but are absolutely foreign on how to do it and how to avoid scams? Like, do you buy shares on the JSE and what should you avoid?
You should, by all means, avoid people that are trying to call you to buy shares. Shares are very, very intricate, and I don't think Bianca or anybody else listening, shares are just something that you delve into. I think that this is a bit more of a skilled investment approach, and I think that you should get quite a bit of advice on this. You should find somebody that you trust that can give you advice on that. If you do have some extra funds that you can put away, what I would suggest that you do is you could possibly open up like a call account with somebody like Investec, and put you in a place where you can, I call it a trigger account, so that when you are able to make these decisions, that you can trigger those purchases to either foreign investments, offshore investments, or shares from those share portfolios, so that you have an account that has the facility to do these things. But there are many scams out there, and there are many of these share portfolios that are really just, they are completely built to implode. So they'll, have a goal of, 2 million rand, and then they implode because of the market crashes or whatever. So really find somebody that is going to give you good advice on this.
Next, Sabrina asks, what is the difference between a unit trust and a tax-free investment?
Yeah, this is a common question. So a tax-free investment is something that our government has granted us. You have 500,000 rand to save over your lifetime into a tax-free investment. Many people don't know that, but this is not something that you should just save money into so that you can use it on the fly, like an emergency fund. If you do have your tax-free investment set up to save money in so that you can spend it, please don't do that, because you're actually it's not designed for that. That would be like an aid to buying a house or retirement or something like that. A unit trust is a very easy, transparent way to invest. It's exactly what it is. It's a place where you can buy shares of units, or unit shares, and that puts you, it gives you the opportunity to buy into different kind of funds. So you can have exposure to high risk or low risk funds within a unit trust, and you can make regular withdrawals in them. You can make regular payments into them. There's quite a number of things that you can do. So for the average person wanting to invest, a unit trust is definitely the way to go.
Okay, next we have Anonymous asks, regarding the snowball effect, is there some source that we can return to? I would really like to apply the method to my budget.
There's no specific source. You have to do the work, unfortunately. This is what took me the longest time to figure out, but start up a spreadsheet. At least look at the fact that that you understand what are all the debt points that you have. So what are the loans? What is the amount of debt? What is the interest rate? Most people don't know that. That's the first thing that you need to figure out. So what is it that you're paying? What is the time frame that these loans, or the debt that you've got? What is the time frame on that? What will you pay into that debt for that period of time? So that you can actually see that in your mind's eye. But to answer your question, unfortunately, I wouldn't say that it is a good idea to go to debt counselors and stuff, because that goes against your name. I think just try and take control of it yourself. All of you are savvy enough to do that. But getting out of debt will be probably one of the most freeing things that you can experience in your life.
Then Jackson asks, when you talk of steering away from debt, does this include things like mortgages and other developmental loans?
No, Jackson, that's not what I'm referring to. Very good question. Sorry, I should have probably just given a little bit more clarity on that. When I'm talking about debt, I'm talking about bad debt. Bad debt is any sort of clothing account, any sort of any account that has high interest rates. That's it's like a small personal loan. It's a bad debt is it's when you get a little card. It's anything to do with like RCS or any of those companies. You need to get those out of the way. The reason why I say that is if you pay the minimum on those, they are typically designed for you to pay them for 20 years. And when you pay them off on the minimum, you'll probably pay roughly about 10 times the amount that you initially loaned. So those things need to get out of the way, because you're actually just robbing finances from your future.
Okay. I do want to mention that we are running out of time, but we will try and answer as many questions as we can. For those of you whose questions have not been answered, you do have Rudi's email address. Rudi, they are able to reach out to you via email, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so if your question has not been addressed, please feel free to reach out to Rudi. Liana asks, hi, Rudi, you mentioned that debt is not in your best interest. Unfortunately, we also cannot go about our lives without a credit record. How would you suggest
Sure.
build a credit record in a way that we don't build bad habits?
That is such a good question. I'm so glad that you asked that. The way that I do it is my fixed expenses in my wife and I's budget, I pay with the credit card every month. So groceries and all sorts of fixed expenses. I go and I purchase that with my credit card, and then I just pay that back into it on the end of the month. So it's an out and an in, but you still did do a loan. And at the end of the day, that gives you a very healthy credit record, because you are not just taking out that amount, but you're also replacing it. So the creditor can always see that you are honoring your payments, and that you are actually never in a position where you are taking out, that you are using the full amount of your credit available. So that's the way that I do it. Is when you take it out, you replace it. So you use the system to your advantage.
Okay, then we have another anonymous attendee that asks, how do you approach the person in seeking wise counsel and establishing a mentorship relationship if possible?
Yeah, that's difficult, because I understand why you would ask that question, and I know that how daunting that is. But more often than not, people are very, very open to this. Once I got over that fear, and took the time to establish who these people are that I want to, approach, I found that people are very open to it, and it's been probably one of the things that have made me realize that my insecurities on how to approach older people were mainly just based on my own fears. And so to answer your question, I would just say, man up, walk straight up to them and ask them, could they be your mentor? If they say no, then at least and that will give you more courage to ask the next person. But typically, I don't think that people would say no to something like that, especially if you mean it sincerely.
Okay, then Jessica asks, hi Rudi, thanks for a great presentation. I would be interested to hear your views on RAs. There's a lot of debate out there on the tax savings in RAs versus the growth in 100% equities over the long term.
I'm going to have to agree with that notion. I'm not going to debate it, because I don't think it is worth debating. It's a bold statement, and I'm happy to take it on the chin if someone else thinks differently. But RAs for me are typically there when, as a vehicle, when you start, earning money in a certain way that you're paying more tax than you should. So if you are going to pay SARS, then you might as well just open up an RA to, that'll be money that you can have for a rainy day. But RAs are not the best way to invest. Definitely not. They are typically expensive. They are not, transparent. They are not. They are not liquid. So they don't put you in a position where you can actually make, make moves. I generally, for my clients, I want to open up accounts where there's trigger money, so you can pull the trigger on bigger investments, and RAs don't allow for that. And I do agree with what you've said, that the return from equity portfolios are much better. So an RA for me is definitely not something that you should be thinking about right now as a young person. I would say get yourself some good high risk unit trust investments. Get good advice on the funds that they're going into, because you would want to get to a capital amount first. Have a capital goal. And as soon as you get that, I would say typically R1 million is a good goal to start off with. R1 million before the age of 30. Then because with R1 million, if you come into like a practice like ours, we can really do a lot for you. And that's what I would say should be your approach. But if you are somebody that saves into RAs, it's not like you're doing the wrong thing. I would just say have a little bit of a closer chat with your bookkeeper, see that you are utilizing the tax saving to its maximum or to your maximum, and then don't allocate any more income into that. Rather start investing into unit trusts.
Right. I'm going to ask the last question now before Gillian takes over. Valencia asks, my question is based on the principle of debt is slavery. There is good debt and bad debt, and debt can also be used to achieve an income and grow your income. What is your belief in good debt?
I think good debt is the best way to go. Other people's money. That's what they say. The fact is that if you don't understand that, you're still enslaved to the other person because you have to pay them back. So if you can run a life where you don't have to typically get into that, because what Corona has taught us this year is that we can't plan for everything in life. Some things are just bigger than that. And if you're in a position in life where you've made, taken a very big risk with someone else's money and it bombs, it leaves you enslaved. So please don't get me wrong when I say that debt is slavery and that it's the worst thing in the world. But it definitely is the single most thing that cripple people and rob them of their future financial freedom if it's not stewarded correctly.
Thank you so much, Rudi. I think if you look at the comments and the Q&A, our members have really taken something from your session today. Like Rudi mentioned, he is willing to let you guys email him directly, ask him all of these questions, and we're very thankful for that as well. I think the financial questions asked here today is something that will help all of us in our future endeavors with our finances. So before you guys log off today, I'd like you guys in the chat function to just pop us what you guys still want to know about your financial literacy, be it investments, unit trusts, or anything specific. Just pop us that in the chat so that we can also appropriately schedule our next financial webinar for you guys. Rudi, this was really amazing. Thank you so much for your time. The members still have a lot of questions, so I think definitely I'll reach out to you, and then also our members will reach out directly to you. I appreciate your time and effort today, and thank you for all our members as well for logging on.
Fantastic. Thank you for the opportunity, guys.